Clytus, I'm bored. What plaything can you offer me today?
An obscure body in the SK system, Your Majesty. The inhabitants refer to it as
the Hell-Ming Power Hour. The Hell-Ming Power Hour.
Ricky and Danny
are once your children. It's just that simple, people.
Oh, Flash Gordon.
Mr. Ming, tear down this wall.
Brandon Newman.
Hail Ming.
But it's changing.
Shut up, Linda.
Shut up! Will you shut up?
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 15. I can't believe it. Episode 15 of the Hell-Ming Power Hour. And I'm here with my brother from another Time Bandit, Danny Bennett.
That's right, and we have some Val Kilmer, some Ralph Richardson, some David Rappaport. We got all that going on in this episode.
Some John Cleese.
Some John Cleese. Some Michael Palin, some Shelley Duvall.
Right.
I mean, we have two of our all-time favorite movies. One is definitely a staple, and everybody who knows anything about movies knows Time Bandits. And then the second is Willow, who somehow missed its mark and didn't get quite the audience it deserved.
Right. Yeah.
So we're looking forward to episode 15. I know that we'd get this far because we have way more movies to cover. So, we're easily covered up to what, like 150?
Easily. And that's just off the top of the cuff, as just far as just thinking of what we can do. That's not even really diving deep into the dumpster. That's just all the things we could just think of without actually having to go and look.
Yeah, there's no dumpster diving yet.
Not yet.
I love doing that on Friday night. Just the smell of it,
And that's the smell of it.
I've been swimming in raw sewage.
And I love it.
I love it.
That's coming up too, no doubt about it.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun time.
All right, so we'll be right back. We're going to start off with Time Bandits. Be right back. It seems like we should have covered this movie probably a long time sooner than we are right now, because this one is definitely an important movie for us. We've quoted it a lot. I don't know anybody that doesn't like this movie. Haven't seen it in a long time, but went back and revisited it, and I think I like it more now than I did then. I found a lot more humor in it than I did when I was younger and I saw this movie. So to give us a synopsis for Time Bandits is a real crappy Bobcat Goldthwaite.
Time Bandits. This movie is about a little boy who falls in love with a baseball bat. They go around the world chasing balloons. They run out of time because it's all taken from a bandit. It was made in 1962, directed by John Lennon. Hope you enjoy it. It's a classic.
As ridiculous as that second plot is, the first plot is pretty ridiculous too.
Yeah.
For me, my favorite thing about it is David Rappaport, the leader of the band of dwarves, Randall.
Right.
I love everything about that character.
Right.
I always have and I always will.
Yeah. He's awesome. Was he in Under the Rainbow as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he was in Under the Rainbow. He was in The Bride.
Oh, that's
we just
right.
brought that up with Clancy Brown being Frankenstein's monster, and he meets David Rappaport on the road.
Right.
Becomes his buddy. I love him to death, man. It's great.
To me, it's just a setup of every young boy's dream again, because it's almost like the boy in E.T. These things just start happening, and you follow him on the adventure. It's one of those things you wish would have happened to you when you were a kid. I mean, who doesn't want to time travel?
Yeah, and for those who haven't seen it, his parents are fixated with kitchen appliances and game shows, guess about him. And one night a horse charges through his closet, and then, his parents come in. What was all that about? Everything's fixed. And he goes, I don't know why everything was fixed, but they don't know why that happened. And they didn't see it. They just heard it. And they say, well, just keep it down. They don't know what's going on. They could care less about Kevin.
Right.
And the next night he just gets a camera and he waits for something to happen. And what happens is the Time Bandits show up. The concept is straight up Terry Gilliam. I mean, it's bizarre. Right. It takes you through. It's like a number of skits that happen through time too. Like in every one of the little places they stop, something happens that's like a beginning and end, and then it moves on to the next story. That's why it takes so long. It's a long movie.
Right.
We were talking about it before we started, about 2.5 hours, and it's full.
Right.
It is completely full.
Why do you watch this movie? Napoleon,
played by Ian Holm.
Awesome.
I mean, and there's a long section there in during the Napoleonic Wars, and he's fixated with little people. I want the little people hitting each other. He's
slapping each other and kicking each other around.
So pretty soon, the band of dwarf thieves, which consists of, I wrote them down: Vermin, Strutter, Og, Fidget, Randall, and Wally.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I knew at least half of them. I don't know,
I knew Fidget. That's about it.
Fidget is Kenny Baker,
right? R2D2.
And so a lot of them, they come in, and it just so happens Napoleon is got his little man syndrome, so he wants to see littler people, and so they fit right in, and he makes them generals, and and then the whole time they're talking, the whole time that he's got them at dinner, they're eating the feast or whatever, he's just talking about conquerors and how tall they were.
And I love the fact that he's watching the puppet show, and then the puppeteer gets shot.
Yes, I've got it in my notes. The puppeteer gets shot. It's such a Monty Python thing to happen.
Yeah, it is.
It's so gruesome but funny.
Oh, and he stands up and starts applauding at the end after he's been shot. Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't it like the whole puppet box falls over?
Yeah.
And the guy's got blood, and there's blood on the puppets.
His feet are hanging out of the bottom. That's great.
So yeah, we might not be doing this a service. If you haven't seen Time Bandits, in a nutshell, this band of little people have stolen a map from the Supreme Being that has all these holes in the universe, all these time holes. And their idea is really that they're going to steal things through time, get rich, and if they ever do get caught, there's no way to persecute them because they'll just go to a time before the crime was committed.
Right.
When they pick up Kevin, the time hole is unlike any of the other ones in the movie. They push on one of his walls and it just keeps moving.
Right.
And as they're pushing it, it becomes like a tunnel. And as they're doing that, they turn around and the Supreme Being has found them and is chasing them. He's just this big glowing head floating down after them, telling them to return what they've stolen.
Yeah.
There's a reason to watch it right there. Then they fall through and they end up in France during the wars there.
Yeah. So another reason to watch it, the map that they're carrying, man, which is exactly what he's talking about. It lays out where basically all these wormholes are that they can drop from time to time. And, very reminiscent of, I'm going to say it, Bill and Ted. Bill and Ted stole that idea.
Well, I just think they might have visited some of the same places in time just like Time Bandits, Bill and Ted wanted to hit some points that everybody knew from history. Yeah, I mean, it's a time travel movie, and it's got Napoleon in it. I just don't see them being all that similar. Mostly because Time Bandits is so far-reaching. It's about a group of dwarves that worked for God that stole a map and has decided to become thieves and end up being pursued by both God and evil.
But
there's nothing like it.
Bill and Ted had George Carlin. George Carlin!
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, so that we kind of had a little back and forth on this one because I brought up the Bill and Ted because of the fact of traveling through time, experiencing these things. They also have a period where they get stuck in time and they have to find a way to get out of it. It's pretty typical tropes I just think
Sure.
Bill and Ted borrowed a lot from Time Bandits.
Oh, yeah, and Diane Franklin's in Bill and Ted too, so there's that. Diane, if you're out there, I bought your book. All right, moving on. They end up in Sherwood Forest. They end up in the Middle Ages in Sherwood Forest, and they Robin Hood. And John Cleese's Robin Hood is worth the price of admission. He's hilarious.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's one of the parts I went back and saw again and enjoyed it so much more this time around than I did when I saw it when I was a kid. So hilarious.
Well, yeah, he's so over the top. The Merry Men in typical Terry Gilliam form, everybody's just dirty and nasty and gross, and all their clothes are gross. And they're the Merry Men, but they're just awful people. And
and the stupid hat, man, with the brim out. It's like this long in the front.
Well, it's like everybody else is like they really are living in the woods in the Middle Ages. They're dirty and gross. And then he comes out and he's wearing green tights and he's wearing a baldric and he's all clean. And he's, oh, jolly good. Yes, of course. He's just, man, he's so over the top.
You do such a good John Cleese, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But as Robin Hood, he's fantastic. And the jokes that come out of that, as they're handing off the loot that these guys have stolen to the poor. The poor, they're wretched. They don't have 2 cents to rub together, but that's because they're poor. They're handing them gold goblets and paintings and stuff. And as they do, one of the Merry Men is just laying him, just punching him in the face.
And he asks the guy, because he can't understand anything the guy says, is that totally necessary? And he says, yes, it necessarily it is, yes.
And the guy goes, yeah, he's afraid he is. And it's just, it's ridiculous. But I mean, you kind of get to thinking, that's probably what they'd be like. They're a bunch of thieves living in the woods. They're probably pretty awful.
It's great, man. I love that scene. And the whole run-in with Michael Palin and Shelley Duvall through the whole thing. They did a little time hopping themselves. 1 minute they're in Sherwood, then they're on the Titanic later on, and basically reprising the roles from both time periods. So they
play these star-crossed lovers that show up in 2 different time periods. I think it's only 2, and they're kind of always, oh, well, I love you so much. Well, I love you too, and then of course they get a bunch of dwarves drop on them, and then something awful happens to them. That's just what happens.
Another reason to watch is arm wrestling with a leper.
Yeah. Well, again, the Merry Men are doing their stuff, and one of them's having these arm wrestling contests. And he just breaks this guy's arm off and throws it in a bucket full of arms. Like he's been breaking them off all day.
Oh, it's great, man. I think because the setup is so long, too, because, I mean, what's going to happen. But they just stand there forever.
Yeah. Oh, it's terrible.
It's great.
And at this point, Evil has noticed that they have stolen the map, and the embodiment of Evil, played by David Warner, wants the map. So he starts to do things behind the scenes to try and bring them to him at this point. And one of the things he does, he opens up 2 time portals side by side. And I love this too, because Kevin gets away and the other ones are pinned down, and Randall says, "Just go," and he says, "Which one do I take?" He says, "Just go." Just go. And then right as he's jumping through,
no, not that one.
Like, wouldn't that be the worst thing ever?
And kids, what do you think about David Warner? Yeah. Man, what a performance in this movie.
He's fantastic.
Yeah.
As Evil. So I mean, of course, Kevin falls through the portal, and that's where he meets Agamemnon, who's kind of the played by Sean Connery. When he comes in, he's fighting the Minotaur, and what a weird fight sequence that is.
Yeah.
The Minotaur's got this club, and he's just laying waste to him, and Kevin shows up in an opportune moment, lets it kill him, And then Agamemnon takes him in. He's like, well, come on, stay with me.
Yeah.
And it's almost like Kevin's willing to stay there, and he's willing to keep him as a son, but it's not to be.
Right. When Evil and them are standing over, they got like the big bird bath, the little water thing like we saw in Beastmaster, where they can kind of spy on what's going on, but they're looking into a pool of water. Yeah. And his henchman's, oh, look, I got this. His ridiculous dumbass henchmen. Those guys, man, they're awesome. Do I get it today, boss?
I wrote down their names because I was like, their names are Robert and Benson. It's like, Robert, I need to. This demon wearing a shirt made out of plastic with a horn,
the horn sticking out.
His name is Robert. And he goes on Evil goes on a tirade about how he wouldn't have bothered to create butterflies and daffodils. Instead, he would have started with lasers. 8 o'clock, day one. And machines. And he's talking about machines and computers. And actually, when I started listening to that, I was kind of like, they were onto something there. Like the way technology has changed everything. Right. It is a little evil. Sure. It's good too, but I don't know. Yeah. Not to get too esoteric, but it's definitely a movie that has layers.
Absolutely.
For sure. One of his henchmen says, well, the Supreme Being isn't all bad because he created you. And he just points at the guy and the guy explodes. Right. And then he says, I created myself. And the next guy says, but if he didn't create you, then why are you stuck here at the Fortress of Ultimate Darkness? And he blows that guy up too. And he says, well, that's a good question. And answers it. Just blowing people up. Yeah. These big gas explosions. Yeah, all that stuff. All the evil is great.
Oh, yeah. Everything that he does. Another thing I got, Winston the Ogre, man.
Winston the Ogre.
And his wife. From Who's the Boss?
That's right. Kathleen Hellman.
Right.
Who was also on Soap. Even though he's an ogre, he's like, well, I've got this bad back. And I've got these liver spots. And she's like, oh, dear, Winston, I'll just give you a balm or a tonic. And she's like, and she's just the doting wife. And he's the aging husband. And it's just great. Even though he's an ogre, he's still just an old dude, Right. And they think they get the ship, but really the ship is just a hat. So I've got nowhere else will you find a long sequence where someone uses bellows to stab a giant in the head with drugs because he's wearing the ship they're in as a hat.
That's poetic, man. That's poetic.
I wrote it down because I was like, man, there's nowhere else. I cannot think of another place where you'd see anything remotely that strange, except maybe in another Terry Gilliam movie.
It's almost as strange as a hippie playing a French horn. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, they just maybe they play the flugelhorn or the pan flute.
Maybe.
Or maybe if Gene Hackman had cigars.
Cigars. One of my favorite scenes is towards the end when they all bring in all the people from the different time periods to fight evil, and the cowboys throw the lassos around him, and it does the thing where it's like the carousel, right?
Yes.
And the thing comes up out of his head, and that's just killer, man. I mean, you can tell it's fake, but such a bizarre idea.
Well, and he looks fake anyway.
Right.
It's like, it looks great for what it is because you can believe that he just became a statue and then became a killer carousel thing.
Right.
That's definitely a reason to watch it. I mean, like, you watch it for the giant hook-handed cattle skull things that he calls out to go catch everybody. Yeah. Those things are the things of nightmares.
Right.
I mean, Terry Gilliam just dreams this stuff up literally and puts it on the screen.
Right.
Because these things are 12 feet tall. They have cattle skulls for heads, and they have these big bone hooks, and they're just running around making these screaming noises.
Right. Something else to look for? Legos. Did you notice the Legos in the back?
When I was a kid, I noticed that the Fortress of Ultimate Darkness looks like it was made of giant black Legos. And I was like, it looked too much like it for me to dismiss it as just like a trick. Some of when it's falling apart, you could tell.
Right.
It's like a dream. It's really nightmarish when you get there. I just got to give one thing. You know, I love the showdown at the end. Evil dispatches all these. You know, I said all the reinforcements that came into points. They can't hold a candle to evil. He takes them all out.
Right.
And then the Supreme Being finally catches up with him. And Sir Ralph Richardson as the Supreme Being is fantastic. It's definitely worth the wait to see him come out because, as usual, he does a phenomenal job. That's all. And then at the end, he says, you know, he'll bring them back, but with a 19% reduction in salary backdated to the beginning of time, which probably means they're never getting paid.
Right. Yeah, he's fantastic in it. And the whole ending sequence where he wakes up, he's home, house is on fire. Yeah. That whole sequence, and of course the ending of it is iconic with the parents looking into the little oven, you know. Mom, Dad, don't touch it. It's evil.
Right.
And then the crane shot going up from there. And that's it. Yeah, it's just so bizarre. But, you know, again, there's so much imagery in this that you're not going to shake. It stays with you. The people that have seen it know exactly what we're talking about. The ones that haven't, you need to give it a shot because you've seen so much of this stuff before just in other movies that people have ripped off. And it's a great way to get into some Terry Gilliam stuff because you'll want more after watching this one. Yeah,
it certainly does. I think, man, I've got to say that it's his opus. I mean, the music in it is fantastic. All the effects. Evil when his fingers flip open and he shoots things with them.
Yeah,
like there's so many little things in this movie that we can't even cover it. But you're going to be watching it going, what did I just see, and how can I see more? Like Brick said, you're gonna want more.
I'm gonna give it 10 dwarves in spaceships with lasers. Lasers.
Whoa, my face just froze in that place.
It's breaking up quite a bit for some reason. I don't know why.
Well, it's because I'm way out here in Alaska. I'm filming the sequel to Never Cry Wolf. It's Never Cry Otter. No. I'm going to give it 15 little people hitting each other.
And we're going old school here. Brian Blessed, what do you think of Time Bandits?
The hunter becomes the hunter.
Well, that sounds good to me.
Man, he liked it enough to be like playing the tambourine while he was talking.
That's right. Yeah, tambourine says it all. All right, we'll be right back. All right, everybody, welcome back to our second movie for episode 15. It's Willow.
Willow, the 1988 Ron Howard directed, George Lucas produced fantasy epic Willow. It had Warwick Davis in it, who was inside the Wicket, the Ewok costume. I mean, among all the other stuff he does, I mean, he's Warwick Davis.
Yeah, I mean, he's just somebody we grew up with, watching all this stuff. And I saw the behind-the-scenes making of this thing, and he was only 18 years old when they made this movie, man.
No kidding.
Right. So think about that. I mean, how young had to have been when he was an Ewok? He had to be really, really young. So that's pretty staggering if you think about making somebody a main character and he's 18 years old. We don't even do that now. Usually somebody playing a teen is somebody that's in their 20s. So
that's true. And one of the things was George Lucas, and working with him, was so smitten with him as a person that he wanted to give him a platform. He loved him. He's a nice guy, and they wanted to give him a movie.
Well, speaking of nice guys, to give us a synopsis, it's Tommy Chong.
Oh, hey, man. This is Tommy Chong, man. I'm here in the woods to talk to you about one of my favorite movies, man. I'm talking about Willow, man. It's the story of a guy who likes trees so much, they call him, you guessed it, Tree Man. Anyway, he moves into the forest and meets the chipmunks and muskrats and chimpanzees, man. And then a big old willow comes to him. And he's like, run for president, man. So he does. and he wins. Great movie, man. Good story.
We can get into the plot, but I'm just going to say the first reason to watch it is the rat dogs, man.
That's the first thing on my list.
Rat dogs. I mean, it's this Beastmaster-esque sequence where the baby's born and they run. And what do they send to go get him? What did they send, Rick?
Rat dogs.
These big dogs that have big rat tails.
They're terrifying.
They really are. And they don't have rat tails like a bad haircut rat tail. They have like tails like a rat.
Well, they probably have those too. And they probably listen to Tommy Tong, I hear your Tommy Tong.
Tell Ming.
No, that's what it is. And so rat dogs, that's my first reason to watch it. What do you got?
James Horner doing the soundtrack.
James Horner. And since James Horner came up last time and I put up together a little nursery rhyme, I also wrote one for this one. I said, James Horner, send Willow some music.
I think you're going to take that one on the road, man.
Yes. I'm going to bank the whole farm on that one.
I can tell you really spent a long time. Just that thought process on that one was just intense. All right, another reason to watch Willow is the mean boss hog looking little dwarf guy. What's his name? Burgle-cut, man. He looks like Boss Hog.
He does. And I worked with a guy who incessantly would like whenever something happened, he'd come around the corner and be like, Burgle-cut. He was an interesting dude. But yeah, Burgle-cut's kind of the banker of the village, kind of like, you owe me money because I own all the seeds and you have seeds, so you must have stole from me. Like he comes in, he's like blustering around and accusing people of stealing stuff. He's awful. He's the town butthead.
Right.
I'm going to say that the next thing on my list, well, obviously Val Kilmer is Mad Mardigan.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's on the list. Yeah, it's way high up on the list. I've got him right above Billy Barty. That's how important he is.
Billy Barty, man, he's up here too. He didn't make my list of main reasons, but I knew we'd talk about him.
Yeah. Yeah, man, Val Kilmer before he was a poop scoop, man.
Well, Val Kilmer, like I think Willow and probably the last thing that he did that was really good was Tombstone. And I'm not going to detract from him because he did some awesome stuff. It's just he kind of dropped off.
Batman Forever.
I actually kind of like Batman Forever.
I kind of do too, actually.
I mean, it went toward Batman and Robin, which was a stinking pile, but
Batman and Robin.
Batman Forever didn't deep six Val Kilmer, but Batman and Robin may have deep sixed Alicia Silverstone.
Yeah. Anyways, back to a movie that's worth a crap.
So in case you're not familiar with Willow, you should go check it out, especially if you like fantasy movies. They don't always catch on, and I think that might have happened with this one. You got a very Beastmaster-esque kind of thing. Prophesied baby is born. Evil Queen Bavmorda goes to get her. She's rescued by a midwife. The midwife sends her down the river and right into the hands of Willow and his wife, who are going to protect her because they're good people. And at first they just want to, Willow at first is like, I'm just going to shove her down the river. Just like Luke and Star Wars is like, I'm not going with some crazy rebellion. I've got the harvest.
Right.
They always have to be pushed into it. But when they come to the challenge, they meet it. So just to get you up to speed, we're talking about it. They meet Mad Mardigan. He's your Han Solo type character.
Absolutely.
When you meet him, he's hanging out somewhere. They've got him in a cage because he did something that the town didn't want him to do. Probably something to do with a girl, and they end up saying, well, he's a human. He's a Daikini. We can give this baby to him.
Right.
And, Willow's like, I don't know about that. And, well, yeah, he's right, because not too long after they lose him, that brings Willow back in to try and save the baby, and now we're caught up. But definitely Val Kilmer is fantastic.
It's a good role for him. It's like you said, it's one of his better roles. It's awesome. And like I said, next on the list, it's Billy Barty, man.
Billy Barty.
I just grew up, I'll be honest with you. Anything with Billy Barty in it, I'm going to watch. I grew up with Billy Barty on Saturday mornings, so he's like a family member.
Whenever I think of Billy Barty, I think of UHF with him as the cameraman. He's got his own camera, and his name is Noodles, and he hoists the camera up on his shoulder and says Noodles on the side.
Right.
I always think of that. And right after that, it's usually Under the Rainbow.
Under the Rainbow, he's the little Nazi on there. What about Night Patrol? Remember him, Night Patrol? He's the police chief that keeps saying kryptonite to Linda Blair. Kryptonite.
Foul Play.
Foul Play.
He's the Bible salesman.
Absolutely.
Can I interest you in everlasting life? Pops open no! She throws him out the window with the broom.
He's just one of those guys we grew up with, man. Like I said, Saturday mornings, all the Sid and Morty Croft stuff. It's Billy Barty. So
Billy Barty shows up, and he is the sorcerer who's come to get an apprentice. Willow's interested in the job with some other people, and he says, show me the finger of power, and Willow picks the wrong one. And
I'll show you the finger of power. Boom, boom, boom.
That was well done.
Thank you.
How'd you do that? No, but he's got a test, and then he says there will be no apprentice this year,
right? Because you all suck, basically. So
that's right. Mad Mardigan shows up.
Right.
I'm not going to go through the plot line for line. He ends up falling in love with the queen's daughter, who's one of her generals. And that's one of the things I like about it, to be honest. I like the whole magic love dust thing. It's just a great little
that's a great scene.
Subplot there.
Yeah, that is a really great scene, and it sets up for the rest of the movie really of what happens. So, that's pretty awesome. But the real reason to watch this movie, ninja stars. There are ninja stars in this movie, man.
There are?
Yeah. When they're on the wagon and the whole wagon attack, the first thing they throw is like a ninja star.
Nice.
Yes. So remember what I said back early on, even when we talk about Kroll? What do kids like? Ninja stars.
Ninja stars, kids.
That's right.
People in chicken outfits and ninja stars and ninja star business cards. That's our new commercial venture.
And I've also got Ace of Mace. so dudes, get the mace and he just chunks it back and hits the guy with it, and then at the same time you're hearing the song, "Oh, that she wants is another baby," because that's they're trying to get the baby.
Hail Ming.
Ace of Mace. Oh.
Ace of Mace.
Wow, that was a stretch.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh well.
What about the brownies? The two little
right. Yeah. That may have been what wasn't the appeal for me. I guess I was at the age to where this was starting to, it's a little too hokey for me to have the little bitty people.
ILM did the effects, obviously, because George Lucas was involved. And they did a good job, but they were still using a lot of blue screen.
Right.
They didn't even use forced perspective like they do in the new Hobbit movies, which really makes everything seem real.
Yeah.
And it was a little, that effect did come across as a little bit heavy-handed.
Yeah.
But, they served a purpose in the plot, and they were okay,
At the time, though, it was still pretty groundbreaking. I mean, they were using it in a way it hadn't really been used a lot. And there's a lot of stuff on the documentary about it where, they were doing some things a little differently with it. But there's other things in this movie that stand out a bit more. The two-headed dragon thing, whatever that thing was.
It was definitely, that thing was a big effects draw. So that's going to lead me right into, back on track. We're not going to outline the plot for you. You get it. There's a baby. The bad guys want the baby. The good guys want to keep the baby safe. Bad guys and good guys are intertwining. You got General Kale.
General
you
Kale.
got Sorsha is the girl who's Bab Morta's daughter.
Right.
All these things are in play, but what the sorceress Fin Raziel, who they're going after to get, who's kind of Bab Morta's the bad guy's foil. She's like, if we just get to Tir Asleen, then we'll be fine. If we get to Tir Asleen, we'll have help there. When they get there, it's abandoned.
Right.
There are trolls that live there. Everybody there is dead. But this is what I walked away from that movie with. Mad Mardigan gets there early. He goes into the armory. He puts on all the armor that they have, helmets, and he sets up crossbows at like every port. And he just becomes this one-man booby trap.
That's right.
And they fend off almost an entire army just through Mad Mardigan's like set up traps. It's a great, like, I don't know, it's reminiscent of Ash in Evil Dead or in
Army of
Darkness. Kind of if we just do this stuff, then we can create a strategy. I loved it.
Right.
I loved it. And
just like Alvin C. York.
Just like Alvin C. York, the pride of Texas, and your end of the state.
Hail Ming.
Is hanging from a tree branch with a knife in his teeth.
That's right.
Alvin C. York.
Yeah, why not? I got the trolls. I thought were a good reason to check this movie out. Those things are awesome. Cool. Yeah, they're awesome.
They're climbing upside down up walls and stuff.
So you're gonna go through this movie and you'll get through some parts. You kind of go yeah, but you'll want to stop and see this whole fight where he's talking about right here, because the trolls are crawling everywhere. The bad guys are showing up. You just got 2 or 3 people that are fending them off. It's pretty dang awesome.
This two-headed dragon shows up, in the middle of that.
Well,
which first seems like what
I was going to say, because it's one of the trolls.
Right. It gets hit with some kind of magic that transforms it. Yeah, it transforms this troll into this great. It kind of cracks open, and the dragon comes out of it.
Little heads come out of it. Then he knocks it off in the water, and that just makes it starting to grow.
I'll tell you right now, you watch that whole thing, because this thing seems like it might not be a good, a good thing for the heroes, but it ends up eating just as many bad guys as heroes. It's the whole like non-discriminate killing machine in the middle of the battle.
I've also got Eric that's on here, his buddy.
Yeah,
and the reason I know him because he was in Superman 3.
Right, and he was the one that told Richard Pryor, so what do you need, a trash can? Is that know what you need?
So he's just that character in any movie he's in. But he ends up kind of saving the day. Another big one for me, the sleigh ride, man.
Yeah,
the sleigh ride is awesome.
Like riding the shield. Yeah. There's a big escape in the wintertime, and they go down this hillside. And Mad Mardigan picks up swords for the first time, and he does so well that Willow's over there going, "You are the great."
Yeah,
because he tells everybody, I'm great.
Yeah, he just never has a chance to show it, and he finally does. But yeah, that whole scene is great. And then at the end, when he's rolling down the hill and he turns into a giant snowball, I mean, it's just like something out of Warner Brothers cartoons, man.
General Kale is kind of a Darth Vader type figure. I'm going to put him in there. Right. General Kale, he's got a big skull helmet, where Sorsha ends up kind of falling in with the good guys because Mad Mardigan's in love with her and she just can't shake him. General Kale stays loyal to the dark side, and he's a beast.
Right. Yeah, that's good stuff. And not to give too much away, but there's an excellent sword duel at the end of the fight, which is great. It's very it ends with a Jack Burton surprise, if that means anything to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and before that, they go to besiege Bab Morta's fortress, and they're outside a fort. They have kind of a ragtag army that they've managed to get that's pretty strong, but still, they can't siege a castle, so they have to figure out a way in, and they have a great plan that they get their way in, kind of a Trojan horse kind of thing. That's definitely worth watching. It's just as good as Tir Asleen, really. When you watch it, it's one of those you stand up and you go, yeah, because it's just good versus evil, and good prevails.
And not to give anything away at the end, it's got a great battle at the end between the good witch and the bad witch, if you want to call them that, sorceresses.
Yeah.
But, man, that's a throwdown that could very easily be in one of the Lord of the Rings movies.
Yeah.
But not to give it too much away, and you said it earlier today in the text, the old disappearing pig trick.
Right. Willow has done this disappearing pig trick for the villagers, and, it's kind of foreshadowed. And at the end, he breaks it out again because, his cunning needs to win the day. And it sure does. I mean, he saves the girl and defeats the bad guy, all with this one act of misdirection.
Yep.
It's got everything. That the reason to watch the movie is really because it's got great acting, it's got awesome characters, it's got cool effects, and it's got lots of really clever plot twists that make it into a great good versus evil fantasy movie.
Right.
I'm going to say right now, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. And if you haven't seen it in a while, check it out again.
Yeah. Because all we're doing is just ripping this thing off and doing other renditions of this movie over and over when you can go back and watch the best version of it. It's pretty much that simple. It's got everything in it that you expect from a George Lucas / Spielberg type movie. It fits that genre so well. It's kind of, to me, it's almost like the end of it too. It's almost the last one of this type. And from Lucas or Spielberg at this time period, because it seemed to really change when we got into the 90s. So this is, to me, kind of a last hurrah when it comes to that style of filmmaking, where it's just over-the-top adventure, swashbuckling, fun time. It's a fun roller coaster movie.
Yeah, and I've got the music stuck in my head right now.
James Horner, man.
I had to check to see if who did it, because I really thought it was Alan Silvestri. It reminds me a lot of the music from Back to the Future.
Right. Yeah. So James Horner, man.
Hey, and I'll say the best quote from the movie is "Burgle cut." No, it's not Burgle cut. The best quote from the movie is "How could I love her? She kicked me in the face." From Mad Mardigan. How could I love her? She kicked me in the face. And in real genius style, he's I don't understand. I'm overacting because I'm Val Kilmer. But it works.
What are you looking at? Your leg. I was thinking of how I'd like to break it. So it's just got some good stuff in it, man. Yeah, man. Rating time?
Yeah, I think we're there.
All right, I give it 15 dwarf kids that run out to Willow.
Oh, it's so cute.
Ain't they cute?
They're so cute. And Warwick Davis is just a cute little guy in that too. Like, he's plowing the field and you're like, oh, he doesn't look like him. Anyway. Well, I'm gonna give it 21 chow bowls for your rat dogs.
Chow bowls. That's different. Let's see. Brian Blessed, what do you think of Willow?
What is this? Madness!
I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on what he feels on that one.
I think he liked it.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
He liked it.
He liked it. We'll be right back. Okie doke, folks. Glad you hung out with us. Like we said, episode 15, we covered a lot of ground. And trying, again, still trying some different things here, trying to entertain you guys better and make things grow. Legion has started a YouTube page as well, where they're going to start pushing some things visually. So that's exciting news. What are you doing? So
we're visual now.
We're visual. Look out. It's coming right for us. But appreciate you guys listening and checking things out. If you want to hear the whole episode, make sure you go check us out on Legion Podcast. Check us out on Facebook. We got a lot of stuff going on. And if you got ideas for shows coming up or some stuff you want us to cover, just let us know.
Yeah, throw in there and say, Rick, Danny, you skipped my favorite line from Time Bandits. You skipped it, and I hate you forever. But I'm still going to listen because I'm a loyal fan. That's what I want you to hear. I want you to say, you have every right to complain about what we do, but you still need to listen because you just do.
Yeah, I like that.
So Yeah, I mean, we covered rat dogs. We covered giant cattle-headed monsters and evil and
and lots of dwarves.
The Supreme Being and lots of dwarves in both movies. We covered Mad Mardigan and Val Kilmer and
Sean Connery
and Van Morrison and
Jack Black,
Shelley Duvall and Robert Duvall and when's the last?
Falco.
Falco.
Hail Ming.
Uncle Nutsy's Clubhouse.
Uncle Nutsy's Clubhouse. What's your name? Billy. Billy who? Oh, that'll be coming up soon, folks. If you haven't seen UHF, go ahead and watch it because we're going to talk about it for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, you got anything else, Danny?
No, I just wanted to say, if there's anything we missed out of these, I'll gladly do a whole other episode about them. But I didn't want to bog down by going line by line by line.
Right.
Because they definitely have a lot of stuff to cover.
Our point of doing this show is not to take you through the entire movie. It's to make you intrigued enough to want to go check it out yourself. We don't want to reveal too much. These are just highlights to get you to check it out. So that's the way we approach this thing. We want you to go and actually show some love to these movies. That's all we want.
And if you can't watch them because of your dogs, you just bring them down here. I'll watch them.
All right. I guess we're out of here. Take it easy. We'll see you next episode. See ya.